less than 1% of the world's population owns almost half of the world's wealth. Meanwhile, nearly 3/4 of adults globally own less than $10,000 each. According to the new report by Credit Suisse, the middle classes have suffered while the rich have gotten richer. And while the number of people worth over $100,000 has decreased for the first time since the financial crisis, the percent of wealth they own grows higher each year, and inequality grows with it. To illustrate the rapidly rising levels of wealth inequality, the report features what it calls the wealth pyramid. Those at the top are the 1%ers who own 45.2% of the world's wealth. In the middle are those worth between $10,000 and $100,000 who comprise 21% of the global population and possess roughly 12.5% of the world's wealth. Those at the bottom are the 71% of the global population who altogether account for only 3% of wealth worldwide. The investment bank CEO said, "Middle-class wealth has grown at a slower pace than wealth at the top end. This has reversed the pre-crisis trend, which saw the share of middle-class wealth remaining fairly stable over time." And notably, while the US dominates the world with the highest number of millionaires, China now has the world's largest middle class.
Okay, here we go on this 4 enemies of wealth. I know that some of you have been waiting to hear about this. I talk about it a lot. And here we go with this training right after this. Okay, we're back. Now, in terms of the 4 enemies of wealth, the first one, obviously, you're looking at the screen, is inflation. Now, I remember in the 80s, the inflationary rate was pretty darn high, and seemed like it was skyrocketing. You were paying 28% for interest on home loans. It was really, really tough in terms of cost of living. This is a silent killer of wealth. Inflation is a hidden tax that destroys the value of your money and penalizes savers. So I read an article of this woman who was in her early 30s, and she worked in Wall Street someplace somehow. Mainly what she teaches is that you need to save and invest, and there was a time when she was getting on her investments about 20%, and more importantly, she saved money as well on top of that. Something that we all need to work on, myself included. Now, number 2 is the interest rate that you're getting. You know how the CDs are. You get 0.25% or less. And so interest has got to be as high as you can get. And we'll show you how to do that here in a minute. It's not interest rates that matters, it's the volume of interest you pay that kills wealth. The average American is paying over 34% of their after-tax income to interest. Interest, you can be on the right side of interest and you can be on the wrong side of interest. The credit cards are on the wrong side. However, you can be your own bank and pay yourself interest. Then you would be on the right side. Number 3, market losses. Now, we all know that the market is up and down. And when the economy crashes like it did in 2008, it's down a long, long time. So it's not just when you lose money, it's how long it takes to get the money back. And then you have to factor in the amount of time that it would take to get your interest back that you missed out on during the time the market was down. So there's lots of factors involved. People don't realize that market losses doesn't mean only money loss in your account. It means the loss of interest compounded growth over the time period that your money was down. I heard it said once that for a person to really gain back all their money plus interest takes generally around 6 to 8 years. It depends on how much money, but an average account, it's a long time. And that is that time that you could have been earning interest or getting a return on your money. And the next one, losses. Losses of principal can be devastating whenever they happen. A single loss of $50,000 could cost you over $1 million during your lifetime. Now on to number 4, taxes. How in the world could we possibly escape taxes? I teach tax-free income. We call it tax-free zone. This means to limit your taxes. The single biggest expense we have in our lifetime is taxes. And what I try and teach people is if you are going to get the biggest tax breaks, you need to have some sort of a home-based business. I've always had a home-based business, and it's always helped me to get refunds and lower my tax liability on my tax returns. All legally what the wealthy use to do that. Now this is what I'm so excited about. When I learned this not too many years ago, it really made a huge difference on me understanding how I can maximize my returns on my money. So Einstein came up with this called the Rule of 72. Take the number 72 and divide it by the annual rate of interest that your money is earning to determine the number of years it will take for your money to double. Okay, so very easily put here on a 4% interest rate over an 18-year period. Well, we'll say age 29, $10,000 in the account at 4%, and it would double to 47 years old. You would get $20,000 and double it. And if you lived on to 65 years old, it would double again and be $40,000. Now that's not quite enough to retire on, of course. This is the high cost of inflation. So we're now talking about the 4 enemies of wealth defined. Last being interest, now second, high cost of inflation. Look at the movie tickets. I think I'm paying now $11 for the movies in 2017, and back in 2013 they were only $8. How about a loaf of white Wonder Bread? I remember picking those up at the market when the kids were young, and we always had to have bread on, but we usually tried to go with wheat bread. But 2013, a bundle of bread, pre-sliced, $2.97. Gallons of gas. I even worked a little bit at a gas station, and I remember it was when the gas was down at about $1.10. So that would be about 1975, 76. And here, Snickers candy bar. I just had one the other day, and that in 2013, $1.09. You have to stop by the store to see how much they are nowadays. I don't know. But that's what we're dealing with. How do we hedge the inflationary problem? So here is the Rule of 72. But let's look at if you were getting a higher interest rate. That's the biggest. Get the biggest bang for your buck, and that's the trick. We will show you what accounts you can do that. Deferred, compounded growth, and get higher interest rates than you think. That's where we can hedge against inflation, is by getting higher rates of interest. This we went over before as a reminder. Now 8%, you're doubling your interest rate, and you can see clearly the amazing results, because now the accounts are doubling 5 times over instead of 3. Imagine that. To see your money grow that quickly. compared to 4%. And then 12%, amazing. And that would double at 7 times throughout the course of your 46 years. Huge return on your money because of interest compounded growth. This is where you want your money to be, in accounts that can accomplish this. That being accounts that you cannot lose any money, they're safe, and they have an upside of growth, and those specific accounts we'll talk about pretty soon. Enemy of wealth, inflation. Now, we've had a pretty good ride when it comes to inflation. It's not been too bad. But as I said, we've had some years in the 80s and 60s. It seems like about every 10 to 15 years we'll have very serious inflation. Like the stock market is on a cycle as well. It will drop down, crash about every 10 years. Inflation rate divided into 72 shows how quickly the value of your money will be cut in half. Rather than doubling it, it'll be cut in half. If the inflationary rate is 4%, then your money is going to disappear a lot more quickly and have that rate really affect the inflation rate, really affect your bottom line. Now there are 3 ways to grow your money. One is in a fixed account, and now we're going to touch a little bit on what are your options. A fixed account, like I mentioned earlier, CD in the bank, about 0.20% interest. Bank accounts are down to, a fraction of what they were. Pros, that they're safe. And the safety of principle, it was Will Rogers that said, I'd rather have the return of my money than the return on my money. And that is the truth. Cons, the low interest that you earn, low returns are just too low, just way too low. There are a better blend of safety and high returns available. And that's in what we call the indexing. This is the happy medium in the middle, where you have the pros being safety of principle. You can never lose any of your money in an indexing strategy. You just got to find some place to apply it to for indexing on an S&P 500 or the Russell 2000 and so on. They have blended funds that are international. Indexing offers you the potential of double-digit growth, and the cons are limits on the upside growth. Well, I'd rather have no losses at all, period, zero, a floor that protects me, and rather than 100% of the market return, maybe 80% of the market growth, and that would make me very happy. And then again, if you put your money, all of it in the market, you're going to put yourself at risk all the time. With the ups and downs of the market, we have a chart of the actual real life market here that we're showing you in a minute. But in the market, in the stocks and mutual funds, real estate and so forth, I mean, yeah, we thought real estate was really pretty protected until 2008, when I was holding 17 houses and renovating 7 of those, and had the other ones that were all occupied, but having to find buyers and renters or leases for the 7 we had in renovations was impossible. It really did affect our bottom line. The pros are the potential rate of return, which can be high some years, and it can take money away. What I want is a steady growth in the years to come, every year, or in most years, but no losses at all. The cons is the risk of loss in the marketplace. Here's an example of that. So if somebody put in $10,000 with a 12% cap, that would be the type of indexing strategy that we are referring to. And this is what's going to hedge against the different 4 enemies of wealth, so that if the market's going up, then your account is going up along with it. Say it hits 2 years later and your account's $12,100, as you can see, Then the market takes a plunge, like 2008. Looks pretty close to it because it is the real market direction that has occurred. Losing minus 20%. Now your account is down to $9,600. Even the next year, 2 years later, I always say it goes up slow, it drops down like a rock. And here it did. $7,900 is now your complete account, negative 17% that second year. Wow. And now you can see that in order to make back that interest and money, bring it all back to where it was, you'd have to earn 70% interest. And your account would have to grow at that rate. On a realistic approach, it would actually bounce like it shows, and your first year back in the money on the market shows you 15% growth. Now you're at $9,000. However, you'll see that our indexing strategy, upon that 7,900 mark, it grows from 12,100 on up to 13,550. The accounts that we recommend would be up with the market growth, but no losses, going flat, and zero's the floor, and then up when the market rebounds. And the market could be in the basement, and still when it starts going up, your account is going up where it left off at zero losses. Incredible type of product. Let's move forward. These are the actual market numbers in comparison to the stock market strategy that you could use. The stock market strategy and versus the indexing strategy, earning double-digit returns, and what's said by Einstein is the highest rate of return that you can get, the rule of 72. And then the winner of the race here at a whopping $308,046 compared to the stock market at $190,174. If all that money was put in, $100,000, same 3 different strategies with the same balance, the market goes up, and our investment in the indexing investment goes up with the market at a bit of a discount. Like I said, about 80%. And you have the blue line, which is the safe money, CDs and savings accounts, money markets. And then you have the market dropping like a rock, and our investment here stays flat, and then it goes up when the market goes up again, and the market drops again back to where it was before. No increase in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, back at the bottom, whereas our investment got 0%, hit the floor. But then when the market starts to go up again, our strategy, indexing strategy, grows. And so you can see how if you never lose any money and you take a little bit less on the top, you are always going to come out ahead when you compare it to the market. So moving to the next slide, the enemy of wealth in market loss is, like I said earlier, the actual true cost of the market losses. Wall Street tells you it's okay to have losses in the early years, but the cost of losses are dramatically worse. And so you can see here why no market losses is going to always do a better job of return on your money. Now here's an interesting chart. I find it very, very interesting. We talk to people all the time about whether or not they're going to experience taxes in the future increasing. Here's a fact. This chart shows us very clearly that in the early days of the 1913 years, taxes were only about 7%. However, then started World War I. And who was the President of the United States at that time? It was Woodrow Wilson. And he accomplished some very amazing things during that period of time. However, he couldn't stop taxes from going up. if you look at this chart and you really line it up against the history, it always has higher rates of taxes during war. So the average top tax rate since 1913, 61%. Now going forward, it dropped down considerably during the Great Depression. And then it started to go up again, and then we were in the 1944, 43, 45, and there it is, World War II. And as we spent money on war and the cost of war, highest top tax rate was 1944 during World War II, 94%. The wealthy were paying that tax rate. Unbelievable. How we are going to pay for the $17 trillion national debt that we have right now, I wonder, is the taxes going to go up? If you look at our chart, and now it's about 38%, 39.6% top current tax rate. I can guarantee you that taxes will have to increase to pay for the $17 trillion national debt. And you can see the national debt clock. Type that in Google and you can see that ticking away. So going forward, you'll see here, enemy of wealth, taxes. More on taxes. So if you can see here on the left column, taxed $1,000 at 10%, looks like 28% and 7%. Those are the different tax rates for income tax, property tax, etc. It comes up to 35%. That means on your $1,000, you get back $650. Okay? Now, over in the middle, we don't recommend this one as much as we do the third column, but because the 401ks, the 3Bs, IRAs, designed by the government, are designed to postpone taxes so that you're putting money in before you pay taxes. They know taxes will go up, and so the government has just built you some sort of a bomb with your money, so in the later years you are going to pay the highest taxes that you would ever want to see. We try and avoid that. We just teach people to go lower on their 401k deposits, and by doing so, they'll still get some matching and building an account, but it's best to diversify. So we also have them put their money after tax into our account so that they don't have to pay taxes later. And so that matching is a pretty good deal, but it's not a great deal. The government wins every time. When taxes are paid, you can see here that on $100,000, on $1 million, 10% tax on that is going to be $100,000. So you can see here clearly the taxes would leave you only $65,000, and that is nothing when you are making the kind of money here showing $1 million. The last and right column is what we like, and that's products that are not taxable because you already paid your tax on them. So municipal bonds are one of them, and very low but safe interest rates. The Roth IRA is another one. It's a typical whole life, variable life, or index life. IULs, Index Universal Life, and you'll find that they grow, again, remember the 13% interest rate, and here you don't pay any tax, so look at how those numbers work out. Not $65,000 but $100,000, and so it's a great way to go. Tax risk, that's why I suggest we do diversification in retirement. We have a taxable in retirement. We have tax-free in retirement. We should be diversified. But I sure like the right column better than the left. Here's the buckets that you could use in your vehicle that we recommend for an insurance product. And it builds cash value, and you can see how fast that grows. And if you look at this yardstick as the life of your policy or product, your insurance cost for the life of your product is going to be this much money, and that's all. Now, it's all paid on the front side in the beginning. That's the thing. You have a death benefit so that if you die, your family gets all the money of that death benefit. If you live till you retire, then you get all the money in a tax-free income benefit. So you're a win-win situation. You cannot lose. There's some small insurance costs. They pay the insurance agent a commission, and then administrative costs, and then everything else will be growing as cash value and interest, indexing growth, and higher interest, double-digit returns. And this is the right vehicle for you. 9 key essentials you must have. First off, the disappearing insurance costs, like I showed you, they're all on the front end, and they're disappearing for the life of your policy, 30 or 40 years. And I only had one the last 10 years, so I'm still excited about the results in the next 10 years. 30-year payout of death benefit, cash max structure, 100-year track history. We do an illustration for you, free of charge, and it's called kind of like a blueprint, and this allows you to be able to see a projection conservatively of what your money will look like going forward 40 years from now. Mutual insurance company, these are highly rated A+, A- mutual insurance companies that we work with. Loyalty bonus on your 10 means that you get an 8 or 10% bonus on top of your money by keeping the product for as long as you did. Plus you get a deposit bonus. Very strong financial rewards, participating in flexible loans. You can take money out, pay it back, and pay yourself the interest, so you are your own bank. Principal and growth protected against loss, period. No strings attached. So I love this product. That's the end of this particular presentation on you could use for IULs or for annuities or whatever you might be wanting to share with your client. The main thing is that it teaches the indexing strategy and the 4 enemies of wealth. So have a great day. I hope you enjoyed and learned something. Sayonara.